A very good morning to you, and many thanks for joining us this morning on the newspaper review. I am Oyimpriye Krumale. Thank God it's Friday, they always say. Well, the Nigerian Senate has been sitting recently and regularly at that concerning the 2022 budget, calling and requesting for the presence of ministries, departments, and agencies heads to come and debate and give clarifications on some of the details they have in the 2022 budget. And one of the shocking discoveries lately that has made the airwaves agog is the $200 million allocation proposal by the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency or the Federal Ministry of Health for the purchase of mosquito nets. Outright debate and outrage followed immediately. Well, the head and executive director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shaib, came out recently to give clarifications that the $200 million loan that the agency was sorted is for the importation and local productions of the mosquito net. But lots of questions coming from Nigerians outside. Does that excuse cut it as governance, and monies that seem to be borrowed into the country should be used to finance capital projects? Well, these are some of the stories that we'll be taking a look at. However, it's going to constitute the focus of our discussion this morning. We are being joined by our guest this morning. Is a legal practitioner, Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Okay, it's good to have you today. And thank God it's Friday, Abdulhamid.
Thank God it's Friday.
Yes.
Glory be to God.
Yes. Barrister Abdulhamid, let's take you to some of the stories making the rounds, not on today's newspaper, but most especially concerning the 2022 budget that is in the floor of the National Assembly, where discussions and debates requesting the presence of ministries, departments, and agencies to come and defend the budget of their ministries. One of the discovery is $200 million that has been proposed to buy and for local production of mosquito nets. What's your take on this?
It is laughable and it's unfortunate that we're having that kind of proposal for in our budget. And it's an indictment on the presidency, the president, and the ministries. Because why I say it's an indictment of the president is because this budget was presented by the president, which means the president is not even scrutinize the proposal before taking it to the National Assembly, or probably it's in support of what they're asking for. Because how can you be talking about $200 million dollars to buy mosquito net in a country where you are talking about hunger, where you are talking about poverty, where you are talking about lack of quality services and quality education? You see, we are fond of investing or proposing for things that cannot be traced. You can remember we were told there is a fund transfer, there is a school feeding, whatever. And you will ask them now, they will say millions of people have been paid, and you will not see anybody being paid. So this is the kind of project they are trying to do. In other words, it's a kind of avenue for people to sign for our money, and it's unfortunate that it is happening. I think if the National Assembly are doing their job, this will not be. They will have been seeing all this for long, because these have been the usuals. Every year we do our budget. Anyway, I don't believe in that budget anyway. Budget is just an estimate, and it's just a ritual that we must perform, because we don't care about what they do with it. They will not ask questions as to what was the performance of the last budget before approving another one. But thank God they are looking at it now, even though despite the fact that they say whatever the president brings, they will approve. Thank God they are raising the issue on this one, and that means we are having a hope in them in a way.
Okay, Dr. Abdulhamid, sorry, Barrister Abdulhamid, let me just briefly consider the fact and let us give a benefit of doubt that Mr. President has gone through this budget, or these agencies that he put in place to scrutinize the budget have gone through it. Now, do remember that Dr. Faisal Shaib says this is a world, it's a program that is being sponsored even from outside the country by borrowing funds from the IMF or the World Bank, and it's a yearly program. This time we're talking about the local manufacture and the importation of same. Don't you think that's the right direction to go, given the fact that malaria is devastating the country recently?
That position that is being sponsored by the World Health is contradicts what they are saying, because they are not saying this thing it will be given to us for free. This will have been paid for. They say we are borrowing money. You are even borrowing money to do it. Borrowing $200 million. That's about 8 billion or something, 80 billion or something.
82 billion.
And of course, it cannot be correct to say that if it's a World Health project, they will give support. They will not borrow money. Will not be borrowing money. We are borrowing money. If it's an World Health support, nobody will question it. You are dashing something. You say you are complaining. You won't complain. But this is we are talking about a situation whereby they want to use an opening sum of $200 million to borrow. That I emphasize that to acquire what's it called, mosquito net. How many people would they be giving? Nobody. You won't even see it. They will just siphon the money, just like they are siphoning the 5,000 they are sharing. Just like they are phoning the school feeding money that the people that they are feeding. I'm not seeing anybody they did it.
Okay, Barrister Abdulhamid, talking about siphoning the money and all of that, do remember that it's still within the jurisdiction and the responsibility of members of the National Assembly with regards to the oversight functions that has been saddled to some of the committees that to man and probe these budgets. Let's just assume if it's been executed, do you think the National Assembly itself is carrying out its responsibility, its oversight functions to ratify the purchase of some of these items?
No, I think we should commend them for even raising the issue, because if they don't raise the alarm, we will not be aware. So it shows that they are looking at the document very well, unlike before, whereby they will just rush it and say, since it's coming from the president, it goes. So I think we should commend them for that, but they should do more in terms of asking for accountability. Whenever somebody is coming to defend this project, you have to ask him the performance of the last budget, so that you know whether or not, because most of these things are repeated. They are also last year. You will see this, if you go through the last year budget, probably this will be there. Yeah, you see they always repeat and they bring the same set of project every year without you saying anything. So I think we should commend the National Assembly for even raising the issue at all. I'm not saying they've done better. This is not the only one that was raised. There are other issues regarding water projects. $700 million that will be used for water project. I don't know. We are borrowed, so they want to borrow that one as well. Everything is borrow. We want to borrow $700 million to do that. And I'm aware that the World Bank has been giving money to us all this while for water project in the country. We have been borrowing as well. I don't know what they want to do with this one again. They say they want to complete project, water abandon project.
Okay,
like I said, all are just gimmick to pack our money.
Okay, Barrister Abdulhamid, you mentioned something, and you said that you should give kudos to the Red Chamber for even raising this. But concerning budget performance and carrying out oversight functions regarding budget performance, do remember that in 2019, the First Lady Aisha Buhari made a statement concerning these mosquito nets that were purchased during that year. She requested for some so she can distribute in her constituency, but she said she didn't get any. Now, don't you think if the National Assembly had carried out oversight functions, maybe then there would have been some form of probity as well to verify the presence of these items in carrying out and executing the budget?
That is what informed one of my position, that it's an attempt to siphon our money, because just like Randy said, the similar project was carried out a few years ago.
Yes.
Have you seen any of these mosquito nets with anybody? Did you see people collected those mosquito nets? Even the first president, the first lady or the wife of the president, cried out that she was not she doesn't have enough, or she was not giving any. So can you imagine now what will now be the fate of the masses? So I think, like I said, our budget is just a recycling of things. They don't do it. They just put it there so that they will just find a way. And to me, it's even like the priority is not even right as far as I'm concerned. We have an health system that is not working. We don't have a facility. We don't have medical doctor. Medical doctor just call off suspend their strike. And we have not even done anything in that regard to bring the health sector back to order. You are talking about mosquito net. Mosquito net for who?
Okay,
I think that's not the priority for now.
All right. Now let's look at the powers of the National Assembly and including that of the federal government with regards to cost cutting, so that we don't spend, there are no excesses whilst trying to execute the budget. What kind of method or mechanism do you think the Senate and the presidency should adopt with regards to cost cutting and effective budget performance? What are the things that we should get out of the way?
Is anybody cutting costs in this country? If at all anybody is cutting costs, it's the masses.
What do you propose?
The masses are the one tightening that.
What would you propose?
Yeah, I will propose that we should cut our budget. For example, if you look at the food allowance for the president for this year budget, where both the presidency, it's 450 million naira. What are they eating? What are they eating? And you are talking about cutting costs. They are talking about they say there's an increment in food. Is there no food crisis? Has salary of workers been increased because of the food crisis? Nobody is cutting costs. Look at the National Assembly. They are taking money of their salary. Nobody is cutting anything. They are rather increasing it because of the situation of the country. So we have people in government who are not serious, who are not concerned about the masses. They are only there for their personal interest, and that's all it is. So it is good for them to cut their costs. I don't even see why we should be paying for presidency's food and the other things like that. They should be paying for that. The medical allowances should be limited to Nigeria, and then if you are going abroad, use your personal money to go and do that. So I think we should not be doing that. We should reduce costs. It's a good idea for us to reduce costs. Right. Those in government should reduce costs.
Okay, Barrister Lami, do know that this thing about budget allocation, where you have a feeding 450 million naira, mosquito nets $200 million, do know that it did not start in this administration. It didn't start in this dispensation. It had been on ground, and it is incumbent in the National Assembly to have made laws, not just to favor any dispensation, but for sake of posterity. Now, what would you propose with regards to making laws? With regards to making laws for both posterity purpose and for the benefit of development in the country?
Our problem is not law. We have enough law to cover the situation on ground. It's not about law. It's about implementation of the law. There are laws on ground to cover these circumstances. Like you said, the National Assembly has been empowered by the Constitution, Section 88 are there, and so to that extent, to supervise and the executive. The executive can also supervise the national. The separation of power is there. So it's only that we are not enforcing our right. We are not enforcing the law in this country. So our problem is not law. No matter how well you pass it, the law is. If people are not interested in enforcing the law, there is no way the law will change anything. So what we should change is the people in leadership should see themselves as acting on behalf of people, having people interest in their art, not personal interest. And I will not, most time too, the followers are not even matter. We're not concerned about what to be concerned about. People will tell you politics is for people who are dirty. This is for people who are wicked. When you allow people who are wicked or people who are dirty to be in your position of authority, what do you expect to get? You get wicked results. So we think we should also be serious and see participation in governance as one of our major responsibilities. So if a citizen who doesn't vote, a citizen who is not concerned about voting or who becomes its leader, is not the worthy of a citizen. He's not responsible as well. So you can't blame any government. So you can't say this is a dirty game that is very hard, it's very difficult, they can kill you. And people who now live their own life said, I'm ready to die. He was able to succeed. He wanted to die for you. He will not die for you. So everybody should be interested in doing this thing. It's our thing. It's not their politics. Nobody is a politician. Everybody should be a politician. So I would say it's for politicians. Who are politicians? People who are concerned about the government of the country are the politicians. So everybody should be concerned about it. So it's only about people who are in charge of or who are seeking for position in authority. Okay. We are all guilty. The government, the people, and everybody.
All right, now.
We are all guilty.
Yeah, still, since you've come to this, before we go, let me take this question from you. Now, we talked about the young people coming into the space of government, who a lot of them has constituted the number of persons complaining concerning the high part of the budget, how much is being allocated to different sectors of the budget, and how at the end of the day, when you talk about budget performance and budget executions, we have a recurrent expenditure running, taking more than 50% of the budget, and capital expenditure having less than 50%. With regards to having young minds in the circle of governance, what would be your advice to the young people?
Yes, sir. We have only been having young people in government. Most of the people you are calling old men today, they were there at their young age, 27, 30, 40. Fashola was 40 when he was governor. Saraki was 40 or 30 plus when he was in government. Amechi was less than 40, he was 37. Kalu was 30 something when he was governor. So all of them, we have always been having young people in government. It's only that we have people. So it's not, what I'm trying to say is that it's not about the age. It's about people having the interest of the nation at heart. See people as yourself. What you want for yourself, want it for the other people, not just personal interest or acquiring personal material. So I think, yes, and it is today, but unfortunately, those young ones of today, they're not even concerned about it. The old ones are concerned. The one you call old today now, when they were young, they were concerned about politics. They were concerned about governance. But today, the one we have today are not concerned about it. They're only concerned about entertainment. And they only want to entertain themselves. If you don't have a country, you don't have a enabling environment, how do you enjoy entertainment? So I think they should be concerned more about politics. They should engage, they should be involved. We need to participate. It's our team. Abandoning for them, make people who we call politicians happy, because it makes them to be able to realize what they want to do, and it make it easy for them to do.
All right. Barrister Abdulhamid is a legal practitioner and joins us from Lagos this morning. Many thanks for your intakes and your perspectives on issues this morning, Barrister Abdulhamid.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful.
All right.
Thank you.
You had said this morning on the newspaper review. Many thanks for watching. You can send us eyewitness report to info@impactstudios.com and direct messages on all our social media platforms and our Instagram handle. I am Priye Krumale. A very good morning to you, and many thanks for joining us this morning on the newspaper review. I am Priye Krumale.